when I think about that meeting, I just think about um, the direction I guess that we're going to go in, um, and coming out and obviously establishing ourselves and really kind of just searching for that identity of what we want to be as an offense. I think we've shown a lot of different things out there. We've put a lot of different things on tape, and we haven't been consistent enough. And so, um, kind of going as he goes in terms of what we do, and our job as players is to go execute. So think a big focus is that we try and control what we can on the field. I've come up here and talked about operation and leading the troop and leading the troops and um, doing the things I need to do on the field to make sure we're in a good place and taking advantage of the things that take no talent. We put ourselves in some positions. If you think back from a macro perspective in the Denver game, some of the things that happened towards the end of the game that we can control, those are things that we can control, but we didn't. And I think you can look at every single game and look at it from that standpoint. And so I think I don't know if it's like maybe not his words. My words would be, some alignment and some structure to kind of galvanize that and get it in the way and get it in the direction that we want it to be.
So was that direction pretty clearly defined from the coaching staff?
It's been different. It's been different it's been different every week, but I think we're all, we're just kind of all in it together. I think that's the most important thing. So, when I think about how 2021 was, that was different than 2022, and then 23 was different than the year before, and 24 obviously had its own uniqueness to it. And so, the goal is to go out there and win. And the beauty about it is we found ways to win in different ways. And so every year has been different. And I think right now we're searching for how can we put ourselves in a position to win football games and do it in a way where we can establish ourselves and have an identity in that.
Are you surprised it's taken this long to get that identity? And does there become a point where you're concerned that you don't have an identity yet?
Yeah, I think how it's been over the last 4 years, given the changes that we've had. I mean, it's a process in that, and you navigate that throughout the beginning of the season a little bit. And I think there is urgency. Obviously, I have urgency. There's a eagerness to get pointed in a direction and just go out there and execute and play clean. It truly takes a unit, and with that unit, who leads that unit? It starts with me, and it starts with the direction we get from KP and how we want to be, how we want to establish ourselves. And so we all have to help each other.
What's your sense of the state of the locker room coming off of the 2 losses? What stands out to you?
I see a group out there at practice that's flying around. Everybody's hungry. Everybody's in it.
Obviously, ebbs and flows in every sport, every season. You guys are human too. It's not robots. You can't, always stay high, stay low. But how are you able to process your frustrations into a positive way when things aren't always going great?
You smile and accept the challenge. And that's how I've always looked at it.
Nick mentioned 2023 and 2024 as the learning from the adversity of those seasons. Do you look back at 23 and then early in 24 as like those teaching points that Nick kind of talked about?
Every team is different. I do think that there are, I guess, templates in some of those things and how you respond, but how you do it, how you bring it to life. I guess the action items maybe are different from year to year because every group is different. And so it's about finding how can we write the things that we want to write and honestly establish ourselves, how we want to establish ourselves. It's a good thing to be able to be figuring these things out, given where we put ourselves at. But we do have a standard, and the players have a standard, and we're eager to gain that consistency that we want. And there's pride in that.
How much of the offensive struggles are leaning too much on what you've been successful of versus trying new things?
What do you mean?
Well, do you guys want to just kind of like major in what you've been great at, or do you feel like there needs to be a little more added to the offense in terms of digging deeper into the playbook and bringing new ideas?
I think we've been great at a lot of different things over time. Every year has looked different, you know. Like I said, 2021 had its different peaks. 22 had its different peaks. 23 had its different peaks, and last year had its different peaks, and that kind of evolved as it evolved. And so I look at it as that way.
So when Lane uses the term predictable, from your perspective, I know Nick says, you know, you got to be on phase. So 3rd and 13 or something, everybody's predictable. Is that how you look at it, or is it you want more of those new things or creativity, whatever, or in the offense?
I think everybody's going to be very critical of what they believe and obviously what they have their hands in, and so I think that's fair in the sense of him feeling that way, but it's about controlling what we can, and I think to Coach's point, when you put yourselves behind the sticks, it doesn't do you too well, and that's things that we can control. When you have things that take no talent that take place, those are things you can control. You're gonna have physical mistakes. You're gonna have some missed opportunities. You're gonna have those things happen. You live with those things, but the things that take no talent, that's what you have to correct before you kind of learn how to not lose.
So after the conversations this week, what's the consensus of what this Eagles' identity will be on offense moving forward?
We'll see. We just got to play together as a group for sure. That's always where it starts. But we just want to go out there and establish ourselves. It's look different every week. It's evolved and continue to evolve, but it's always the goal has been to always find ways to win. And I think even in all our games, we've had opportunities to do special things. We just hadn't really executed to the standard that we want to. And so some of that is taking control of the things that you can, and then some of that is taking the next step in areas.
Would it be a misconception? I think people from the outside look in and say, well, Kevin Batua was here last year when you had success with Kellen Moore and Nick was here. But are things different, even though that was the case? Are things a lot different in terms of what you're trying to do and what you're able to do?
You use the word a lot different. I just use the word different. It's a different role for him, and it's been that way, over the years. But that isn't anything that gives us any reason not to go out there and excel. And so that's the standard that we have. That's how we want to challenge ourselves, and that's what we're committed to. We're going to go in this direction. We're going attack this week the best way we can, and go out there and play together. At the end of the day, it's about playing efficient football, being effective in what you do, and go out there and find a way to win the game.
I asked this question because Carson's on the other sideline, so you know where I'm coming from here. How did the 2020 season shape how you would be when you're in the situation where you're the veteran quarterback in the room?
Yeah, well, I enjoyed my time with Carson. I learned a lot from him. Was always a pure student, and taking everything in throughout my experience with him. And so I think just right now, just trying to set the best example that I can, knowing some of the things that I was able to experience.